Arizona State and Arizona now in play for an athletic director. I know there were people, Sun Devil fans, talking about, maybe Dave Heeke should take the ASU job. That's not going to happen by any means.
I don't want to misplace. I don't want to misplace a quarter of $1 billion.
We don't need to place that much. We don't need to do that. But in terms of the positions themselves, the Arizona Wildcats and the Arizona State Sun Devils, which job is more attractive for a potential athletic director?
I think that there is definitely I think there's definitely a level of mistrust in both situations that, like, in the same way that a lot of Arizona State fans didn't want to see Ray Anderson make a hire. And from what I've heard, maybe he wasn't as involved in bringing Kenny Dillingham on board as most athletic directors would be in his situation. But, like, the faith in the presidents, I'm not being political, university presidents alone. The faith in the presidents is at an all-time low right now. And so, I mean, as far as being an attractive job for somebody that's just looking to come up, you're probably going to get paid more at Arizona State, assuming that the level, $1.5 million after all the retention bonuses and everything are factored in at Arizona State, probably a little bit more attractive than anything else. Getting more money better than getting less money. But pay attention, Jetfish fans. So, like, the idea, like, arguing money with people who, like, don't understand that 54 and 27 are not the same, and that negative 240 million is bad, has been very annoying. I am so tired. I'm so tired. And just to go back, just one step back before we move forward, I apologize if I got any details of your financial mismanagement incorrect. I'm a literature major, but please understand that had University of Arizona fans been like, did you hear that Ray Anderson is stepping aside because he stepped on a baby or whatever? We'd have been like, yeah, probably that might have been it.
That's the example you use. He stepped on a baby.
They could have literally said anything, and we would have been like, yeah, whatever it takes to, like,
that's totally fair.
But I don't know. But in the Big 12, I think Arizona is a great fit, could be very competitive. Either one of these are, like, once in a lifetime jobs. I don't necessarily, knowing that there's, like, one university president that might throw you under the bus for his own misdeeds, which I'm getting an inkling that maybe that's what's going on at University of Arizona.
Yeah.
And then another university president that every time you bring up needing more resources for football, he's like, should we add curling? Like,
it's the turtle and the hare. One moves too fast and then trips over his own feet, and then one moves wildly too slow. That's what you have with both of these athletic directors. That's faults with both of them. And to your point, it is like, if you're going to play the game of which job is more attractive, it almost would be, to your point, like, yes, these are once in a lifetime opportunities, but if you're choosing between the two, it's like, okay, which is the lesser of two evils when it comes to the university presidents? And right now, just from a recency bias, I think most people would say that you take the Arizona State job because give Dave Heeke a call. Look what's happened to him over the last 24 to 72 hours, right? I'm sure he was on top of the world when the Brent Brennan press conference, all that, just 5 days ago? He had the entire city of Tucson behind him. And here we are Tuesday, and it's gone.
It was an I told you so moment, right? This is, from what I understand, the second time that the runner-up was hired, right? Like, President Robbins really liked Jed Fish, and so when it came time to fire Kevin Sumlin, he was still top of mind. Dave Heeke really liked Brent Brennan. I really like Brent Brennan. And you get the opportunity to make that hire, and it's a pretty big I told you so moment. You fly out to San Jose, you get your guy. He's got University of Arizona connections. His brother played there. They got that video of him in the stands, which I thought was very, very cool. Also, it's weird to see, like, an old video and wonder if it was, like, something you were there for and then realize that you're old. That was, like, a lot to process. But like, yeah, he had to be feeling pretty good. You get Brent Brennan in, the boosters reroute a bunch of that money that was going to be meant for Jed Fish to retain a very good roster that gave you your best year since 2014, Rich Rod 10-4. And so huge best season in 10 years. You're going to retain a lot of that talent, and you're going to get a coach that wants to be there. Very cool week. And then all of a sudden you are unemployed. Like that's a lot to process. And then just to see what dots people are connecting mentally to like, what does this mean for the university? If it was as simple as mismanagement, then I'm sure that they have other people in place that if they're not connected to that mismanagement of any kind, you can promote them. Arizona State football went through this with Sean Aguano, right? They had to look around the room and be like, all right, which one of you actually has clean hands? Because we got to get through the rest of this season, right? So Sean Aguano brings the Ohana and gets to take over for the rest of the year. Maybe they have somebody in place in Tucson like that. I don't even know what's going on at Arizona State. There's the college AD article that's floating around saying that we're not even like looking.
That Crow's sitting on his hands.
It would
pretty
make
much
sense. That'd make a lot of sense.
Like I said, moving slowly, very, very slowly. But Erik, what about you?
Maybe you don't need an athletic director.
I mean, if depends who you ask. You ask Robert Robbins, you need somebody to take the fall for you at a certain point.
Jeez.
So you got to have one, like at least
that's not a
base.
That's not an athletic director. That's a hostage. that's a paid hostage.
That's tough. What about you, Erik? What would you do?
Building off of that point of having somebody to blame. If let's just say I am an athletic director, and for some reason I have the choice between Arizona State University and the University of Arizona, right? There are a couple of reasons why I'm picking ASU. Number one is that Heeke's probably not going to be the only guy out of the University of Arizona who's going to lose their job in the next week or two. There's probably going to be a couple other people that they're going to find responsible.
Yeah.
And that's going to create a lot of instability. Plus, of course, all the money that they've lost. And you know what? Both of these programs for football and basketball, they already have their expectations set, right? Like they're already like, hey, you need to come in here and these need to be, in U of A's case, the way they're talking about retaining most of their players, that they're not going to miss a beat. And they were talking college football playoffs before. Yeah. So that's the expectation, right? For U of A basketball, it's like, all right, come on, like get some success in March Madness, go deep into this thing and see if you can bring home something. And if that fails, if that doesn't work out, then you're just the AD that came in, replaced, everything went to shit, and then you're the next fall guy. You go to Arizona State, right? Not only is the football program on the precipice of being better, and you're going to get actually a lot of credit for helping build and fund that program 3, 4, 5 years from now, if they do indeed turn it around like we think they will. But ASU has also showed that you can get away with a lot of shit. They're not just gonna fucking cut your tie like the first time you mess up. Like you can mess up, you cannot be great at your job, and you can still hold the job for a lot longer than you should. So if I'm picking, I'm going to the place that's not going to make me the fall guy. That's actually going to protect me instead of the other way around, where I'm out on my ass the first moment that there's some sort of trouble, even though it's a lot of it.
You'll be Professor Erik Ruby in no time.
Hey, also that, when I get fired as an AD, I'm still getting paid millions of dollars by the university. I'm fine. Like, I'm picking Arizona State.
One class.
I'm a Sun Devil, man.
Okay, so, all right. So, on a very, very practical level, there is a hiring freeze, from what I understand, at University of Arizona. Or, God, I'm so paranoid at this point. Like an employment chill, like whatever words will keep you off my back.
An employment chill.
Get out the thesaurus.
That's new. I've never heard that one before.
Why don't you just pretend I said the right thing? Like that's kind of where I'm at right now. So, I think there's a hiring freeze. I think they're talking about raising ticket prices. I think like there's actually stuff going on to try to bring University of Arizona back financially. That is going to make it a tougher gig at this point in time. I don't think there's anybody that if you were to come in from the outside, I doubt they bring in somebody from the outside, but I don't think that there's anybody who's going to come in from the outside, look at the programs and be like, oh, this person needs to be fired right now. Maybe there needs to be some more backbone. Maybe there needs to be some more supervision. But I don't necessarily think that there's any program that is going to just get flipped because they bring in a new AD, especially when you don't have the ability to really budget to bring in better people, right? So Brent Brennan is being brought in at the rate that Jed Fish previously had. essentially, with a much higher buyout. But like the idea that anything's really even going to be able to change if you take the University of Arizona athletic job, it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for a couple of years before you're even allowed to do what it is you want to do, to enact your vision, anything. But again, that's my peanut brain size understanding of what it looks like to have $240 million missing.
Yeah.
I think it probably impacts your decisions. But again, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything.
An employment chill. I'm going to be using that.
Yeah, I like that.
But look, I think in terms of this situation for Arizona State, and it's funny, Sun Devil Spaces last week, you were talking about the article going around just that Arizona State, Michael Crow, kind of barely dipping their toe in the water in terms of trying to seek out a future athletic director. I think when it comes to something like this, like, there is almost a little bit more pressure now on Michael Crow to get this right. Same thing with the University of Arizona and Robert Robbins, whether they want to use the next AD as a scapegoat, whether they want to keep an AD on way longer than the fan base would like in Tempe. Like, there is pressure, I think, significantly more so now on Michael Crow than there was a week ago to make this move. Because I think he was able to sit there and say, hey, you know what? There isn't necessarily a giant rush on us to go out, get an athletic director before the start of the fiscal year or the end of this fiscal year, right? But when you look at it now it's like, okay, everybody in Tucson is talking about an athletic director, and you have this opportunity where, think of it as if it was a football coach or a basketball coach or a baseball coach, right? And you have two openings at rival universities, okay? One goes and gets a guy, they have supreme success, and the other goes and gets a guy and they fail, right? I think at that point, in that specific scenario, the fan base would eat the university alive, whichever one failed, right? Because you had the opportunity. That's what it's going to come down to 4 or 5 years from now, whatever transpires with each of these athletic departments and their athletic directors. If one has success and one doesn't, the fan base is going to say, oh, Michael Crow, why didn't you hire this guy? Why didn't you interview this guy? Why is he their athletic director and not ours? You took your sweet time. And the same thing with Robert Robbins in Tucson is, okay, we have to get this right, and we almost have to do it more so than Arizona State. Otherwise, there might not be a scapegoat the next time something like this happens. And who knows if Robert Robbins even makes it out of this whole situation. We'll see if that audit and when that audit potentially comes out on Thursday. It's a weird situation.
All right, are we taking odds? Audit or NCAA notice of allegations? What drops first?
I mean, I don't think the NCAA violations are going to be dropping until we hit the moon again. So I would say probably the audit comes out.
If in my lifetime we could get either the notice of allegations or a new Frank Ocean album, I would take either one of those.
Can I get the Frank Ocean album instead? I picked that one.